Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. A little bit of a different video today. Instead of doing one topic kind of in depth and scripted, I'm instead going to share my thoughts on a few different subjects with some gameplay background. I want to start off by talking about how excited I am for the Legacy of the Forge DLC for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. If you've been paying attention to the main channel where you get everything, or even on this channel, you probably are aware that Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is my favorite game of the year. I am incredibly obsessed with it. I have loved every moment that I've spent in Henry's shoes, in Bohemia, fighting bandits, following this really epic story, doing side quests. So much so that I went back and I started playing the first game, which I'll do a review of when I've finished on the main channel. Again, that's where you get everything. But I also want to talk a little bit about the Legacy of the Forge DLC, what we can expect from it, and what I'm excited about it in general. So it's coming out September 9th, so just a couple weeks away now. And this is from the wiki for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, where it says Legacy of the Forge is an upcoming major story expansion for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, announced on the 16th of January 2025 alongside two other expansions. Scheduled for release the 9th of September 2025 and will be available both as an expansion pass and to gold edition owners. In this expansion, players will have their own forge that they must rebuild from the ground up, and this once renowned forge can be used to create master crafted weapons, though it isn't confirmed whether these weapons can be used by Henry himself. The DLC's narrative will center on Henry's father, Martin, as he copes with his loss and the reality of war in the Middle Ages. And I think that's a really interesting point. So, despite the first game coming out so many years ago, and, this game being as expansive as it is, in Henry's world, this has only been like a few months since his mother and father were brutally taken from him in the, I guess, raid on Skalitz. So, from then on, he was pretty much in like go, go, go mode this whole time. And it feels like with this Forge DLC, we're going to finally have a chance for Henry to take a moment and look around and kind of feel the feelings, grieve, and reconnect with his father, Martin, who, of course, as you know from the first game, I don't know if it was mentioned in the second one or if other people said, but he used to work in Kuttenberg at a forge, and it looks like that'll be the forge that you'll be rebuilding. It's near the hole in the wall in Kuttenberg. It's all burnt down currently and just waiting for the DLC to come out. So it says in the description of the DLC, return to Kuttenberg and put your blacksmithing skills to the test to acquire and repair a legendary burned down forge where your father Martin spent his youth as an apprentice. Establish your own home in the heart of Gutenberg, designing the forge itself as well as its surrounding and your very own private quarters with the ability to customize and furnish to aid your gameplay. Venture down memory lane and learn of your father's legacy as a blacksmith, revealing a part of his life that has remained hidden until now. Uncover the mystery of an ambitious masterpiece your father once worked on and follow in his footsteps to complete it. Become a forge master and build upon your new blacksmith prestige, helping the people of Gutenberg with sword crafting, armor smithing, and some more quirky requests. In addition to the new daily quests, Henry will unlock the ability to earn cash, enabling a brand new home customization system with over 100 million combinations to personalize your forge, private quarters, and its surroundings. Once decked out, your forge becomes a place to return to and call home. And features Henry's very own home, personalize your forge, private quarters, and its surroundings with brand new design features, allowing you to build a unique home with a customization system that offers over 100 million combinations. Continue Henry's journey of discovery, return to Kuttenberg and venture down memory lane, meeting acquaintances of your late father, turning strangers into allies in a meaningful pursuit to achieve your family's legacy, uncover part of your father's life that remained hidden until now, enhance your blacksmithing skills, rise through the ranks to become the master of Gutenberg's Blacksmith Guild, taking on blacksmithing commissions that will bolster your reputation, unlock unique blueprints for new armor and weapons all while helping the people of Gutenberg with sword crafting, armor smithing, and some more quirky requests. So I'm so looking forward to this. I think one of the things that Warhorse said was requested, and I'm not surprised. Like the thing that's most requested was having a place of your own. Obviously, as Henry, you can stay at various inns, and I kind of in my playthrough I had like two home bases where I was like, oh, this is Henry's room, but it would be nice to have like an actual place for Henry to go lay his head and for you to customize. I will admit when I finished the game, I was a little sad. You know, I got the been there, done that achievement or trophy in my case as I was playing on PS5, and I was like, huh, there's really not that much more to do unless I want to play hardcore mode, which I wasn't quite ready to jump back into that yet. But what I can do is now kind of live in the world, which, you know, just take it all in, have daily quests, customize. I think this will take up a lot of my time and will be something that I can return to in a casual way that, you know, can keep you playing for hours and hours. So I'm really excited. And if you played the first game, you know that Martin was kind of non-committal. Didn't really give Henry a lot of answers about why he left Gutenberg. You know, you kind of discover stuff as the second game progresses. I don't want to spoil that in case you haven't played it, though. If you haven't played it and you're listening to a DLC video, that'd be strange. But nevertheless, I think this will give us a much better understanding of what Martin's life was like and why he maybe left Gutenberg and allow Henry to reconnect to him. So, really great game. Really, really looking forward to this. I enjoyed the Brushes with Death DLC. I know that's not an especially popular opinion from many people, so hopefully this will live up to people's expectations a little bit more, as Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 remains the best game of the year in my opinion, and hopefully this DLC will be the best DLC of the year. So what are your thoughts on the Legacy of the Forge DLC? Are you going to pick it up? Are you excited for it? Let me know in the comments. All right, next up, we all know that Helldivers 2 was a huge hit when it first dropped last year. Xbox players have been wanting to get in on it, and now they finally can, and I want to talk about how that's going and how good of an experience it is. Obviously, Helldivers 2, when it first came out, was a huge success. It saw over 458,000 players as an all-time peak on it when it first came out. And ever since then, you know, it's ebbed and flowed. The player count has gone up and down based on different events, based on how players were feeling about the decisions of Joel and the rest of the Helldivers developers. And it had kind of settled, at least on Steam, at around 30,000 players, which is certainly nothing to scoff at. 30,000 players is a very solid amount of players for an online-only game, especially one that came out a year and a half ago. Came out February 2024. But this past week, we saw the addition of the ODST-themed Battle Pass, and the release of Helldivers 2 on Xbox. So with those combined, the peak went all the way back up to 167,000 players on Wednesday. And as of the time of recording, which is 3:41 on Sunday, August 31st, there are 118,000 players playing right now on Steam. But that doesn't tell the whole story. So with the addition of Xbox players, and obviously they brought Steam players back, they brought PlayStation players back, people who have played the game a lot in the past who wanted to play it again with their friends who weren't able to play it before. And the CEO of Arrowhead has revealed that Helldivers 2 has beaten its player count record with over 500,000 concurrent players with this new battle pass. And I mean, it makes sense that people would be willing and wanting to play a game that one is very much up the alley of Xbox gamers, the people who have been playing Halo and Gears of War for years. So this is almost a middle ground of the two, right? And then with the Halo theme stuff here, it makes sense why so many people from the Xbox community would be interested in a game like this. Obviously, it was hyped up quite a bit, but I mean, the Xbox players have been putting in work, killing the Illuminate. I know it's kind of become like a meme now of people just being like, they're like the attack dogs, the reinforcement, but they've been absolutely crushing it on release. And I think, this just goes to show that for so long, games were kind of like a walled off garden, right? You have your PlayStation games, you only have the games on that console. You have your Xbox, only games on that console, PC, only on that. Nintendo, yeah, Nintendo's also there, but they're very much doing their own thing. But over the last, 5-10 years, we've seen the walls start to come down a little bit. And I mean, with the amount of success that Sony has had here, and conversely, with the amount of success that Xbox has had launching their games on PlayStation, I would imagine that we're going to see quite a bit more of this in the future. So I guess I'll leave you with this question. Have you been playing the new Helldivers Halo Battle Pass? What do you think? What do you think of the Halo weapons within it? I just think it's so surreal to be looking down first person mode with Halo weapons in your hands in a Helldivers game, as someone who's put a lot of time into Helldivers, to see those weapons. It's unique and it's fun and I love it. And hopefully we'll have more crossovers in not only Helldivers, but on all these different games. So what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts if you're an Xbox player who's only played Helldivers this last week? How are you liking it? Are you learning stuff? I feel like the community of Helldivers can be pretty welcoming and they want everyone to succeed. So hopefully you're experiencing that. And yeah, just let me know all of your thoughts in the comments. Next, if you've been paying attention to, I guess, pretty much anything happening in the tech world these days, you know that AI is the big talk of the town right now. Everyone thinks that people are going to be replaced by AI, but I don't know if it can really work to replace people who make games. So I want to talk about that a little bit in depth now. So we've entered an era of time over the last 5 or so years where tech bros and people who maybe don't understand how things work generally try to put their own spin into different spaces. And, we first saw it with cryptocurrency, which kind of devolved from the idea that you're going to have a currency that is decentralized from any government to, I want to become rich very quickly and I'm going to basically gamble on these tokens, or rather coins, that, don't have great fundamentals. And that's really all it is a gamble. And then people started to come in and scam. Then we got tons of rug pulls. And ultimately, it didn't work out how they wanted it to or thought that it would. Then we saw NFTs as kind of like a extension of crypto and the blockchain. And very famously, people are like, this is going to revolutionize gaming. You're going to be able to have a weapon linked to an NFT in one game and transfer it to yourself or anyone else in another game, which didn't really make sense, didn't really work that way. Say nothing of the different art styles and everything that went into various games. But this is, an example of this was Ubisoft created a game with NFTs in it, and it didn't work very well. So this is from The Gamer, and writer Sam Woods writes about Ubisoft's NFT game, and he says, for a few years now, Ubisoft has been heavily invested in NFTs. The company started chasing the trend in 2021, and by late 2024, it had created and released its first NFT title, Champion Tactics Grimoria Chronicles. The problem was that by October 2024, when the game officially released, much of the NFT fad had passed, so Ubisoft decided to keep it all a little bit quiet. Fast forward to August 2025, it looks like Ubisoft has all but abandoned Grimoria Chronicles for another title in the Champions Tactics world, Champions Tactics Reforged. The problem is that Reforged isn't doing too well either. The death of Champions Tactics Grimoria Chronicles. Ubisoft's blockchain game was released in October with very little fanfare, yet somehow it still contained an item that cost upwards of $60,000. Unsurprisingly, though, with so little buzz and the company missing the NFT boat, Grimoria Chronicles has effectively been abandoned. The game's website still displays part of the roadmap from this year as locked, even though the timeframes have passed, and that roadmap doesn't extend past 2025. While there are 580 NFTs still listed on the game's marketplace, ranging from $4.30 to $1,500, there appears to have been little movement in those numbers for a while. The last mint of new champions took place over a year ago. The last time the series' official Twitter account mentioned Grimoria Chronicles by name was on July 15th, and before that on March 28th. Most of its newer tweets have instead focused on Champions Tactics Reforged and advertised another of its upcoming free-to-play games, Might and the Magic Fates, alongside games like Star Wars Outlaws and Just Dance 2026. Ubisoft has moved on. In May, Ubisoft pivoted from Champions Tactics Grimoria Chronicles to Champions Tactics Reforged. The former still exists. The latter is a free-to-play game on Steam, where much of Ubisoft's energy is focused. It sells itself as a turn-based strategy game, where players can master deep strategy and outsmart rivals in intense duels. However, the game also failed to gain much traction. Though things didn't start off awfully for Reforged, peaking at almost 1,500 players 2 months ago, data from SteamDB shows that at the time of writing, there's currently only a single person playing Reforged. It peaked at 8 over the last 24 hours and hasn't risen higher than 16 in the last 30 days. The game currently sits at mixed reviews on the platform, with players lamenting its pay-to-win, gacha-style mechanics, lack of polish, and slow pace, alongside the fact that it has seemingly skirted Steam's NFT rules. So, Ubisoft was probably the most well-known and legit company that really bought into this, and they kind of fell on their face. So NFTs will not be a big thing within gaming. So, the tech bros, they need to find a new thing to, I guess, get investors excited. And what is the newest thing in the tech sphere? Well, it's AI games, of course. So there's a company that is allowing players to generate games through just a picture. So Ludo.ai touts that you can create full games just from pictures, which, is very, very dumb. There's a bunch of game makers like this. I think this will potentially be a thing in the sense that I can see somebody who doesn't really understand gaming, but is like a suit, be taken in by tech bros and be like, well, I guess we should invest in the making of games for AI because it'll cost us virtually nothing. But if you've watched any of the videos that feature these AI from pictures, like the game engines don't have any idea what's going on. They can't remember where it was behind you, so you could walk past, turn around, completely different thing behind you. The games don't work properly. And I think it's important to note that, like, for whatever reason, people who really, really want AI to be a thing don't really understand or don't necessarily appreciate that artistic endeavors involve thoughts and planning, and you can't just come up with an idea, you have to come up with how to execute it. And a lot of that is handcrafting something, and quite frankly, they want to skip that part. And so I don't think AI will ever be able to make video games. AI can only recreate things that it's been trained on, right? So, like, if it hasn't been trained on something new, then you can't make anything new. Obviously, it can't be trained on something new that it can create because it doesn't exist, so they can't make it itself. So, just another example of tech bros kind of ruining gaming in a way, and not really understanding what works for gaming. So, what are your thoughts on tech bros trying to force their way into video games and how they've kind of failed in this? Let me know in the comments. Then we've all seen how big the Nintendo Switch has been, the Steam Deck as well, really big. PlayStation this generation came out with the PlayStation Portal, but rumor has it that they're going to introduce a portable PlayStation 6. Let's get into that. So there are rumors going around that the PS6 will come with a PS6 handheld version. So from what we're seeing, there's going to be a PlayStation 6, think of the PS5, the PS4, a regular console. And then there's going to be an additional console that is going to be handheld and dockable. At least those are the rumors that I'm seeing right now. Let's go to IGN and Wesley Yin-Poole, who has more on this. Wesley says, "We're nearly 5 years into the current console lifecycle, for Microsoft and Sony, that is. And so it is perhaps inevitable that credible rumors around what both companies have up their sleeves in terms of hardware are ramping up. The latest rumor, which deals with an alleged PS6 handheld console, includes some interesting details that, if it has basis in reality, could suggest Nintendo Switch 2 has a competitor on its hands. Moore's Law is Dead said in a recent video that this so far unannounced PlayStation 6 handheld will be dockable and backwards compatible with PS4 and PS5 games. The YouTube channel even has information on alleged specs for the device, which apparently include 16 CU RDNA 5i GPU clocked at 1.20 GHz in handheld mode and 1.65 GHz in dock mode. I hope, for those who are more tech literate in the audience, that made some sense. Because to me, no idea what they're talking about, but sounds good, I guess. According to Moore's Law is Dead, the PS6 handheld will cost significantly less than the upcoming Xbox Ally X, age way better, and will be raw performance stronger. The ROG Ally and ROG Ally X release on October 16th, but Microsoft has yet to announce the price. There's also a brief mention that of what is described as a PS6S, which sounds like it could be to PS6 what the Xbox Series S is to Xbox Series X. If that's true, you'd expect the less powerful console to be much cheaper. Moore's Law is Dead's information is, it claims, based on up-to-date AMD documentation it has reviewed. Still, a huge number of questions remain. And let's remember, Sony has yet to announce firm details on the future of its consoles. And what will this PS6 handheld console cost? Moore's Law said estimates between $299 and $399 for the PS6S, $399 and $499 for the PS6 handheld, and $549 to $699 for the base PS6. If this comes to pass, the PS6 handheld would easily price match the Nintendo Switch 2. Moore's Law is Dead suggests a fall 2027 release window for all three devices. So, a lot of information to go over there, but I think it is important to take everything with a grain of salt until it is officially announced. We don't want to get our hopes up too soon, and we don't want to be disappointed on the back end, of course. But I do think that this console strategy from PlayStation would be somewhat unique, and I can kind of see that both companies are kind of following the same path. Let's take it from the handheld console first. I think it'd be great to have a handheld PlayStation 5, or PlayStation 6, I guess, in this case. So I have a Steam Deck, and honestly, the majority of my time gaming these days is on my Steam Deck. And a big reason why is because there are various, I guess, programs, apps that allow you to stream your PC, your Xbox, or your PlayStation 5 to the Steam Deck. So I can fire up my Steam Deck, knock out some KCD2 side quests that I missed when I was playing through the first time. Or I can play, the new college football on my Xbox, but on my Steam Deck. Then Steam Deck just has regular games that I can play. Obviously, Steam Deck isn't going to be as powerful as these new handhelds, but it was a great price. And the PS6 dockable one, while it's more expensive a little bit, I do think it presents like a very nice kind of middle ground between the console and the Steam Deck price. And I can see a lot of people being very interested in this. And let's not forget, this generation, PlayStation kind of experimented with getting back into the handheld game with the PlayStation Portal, which is only a streaming console. I assume it works the same way as the Steam Deck does. If that is the case, then I can say that it works quite well. It's a great kind of additional thing to have with your PlayStation 5. We also can't forget the PlayStation and or the PSP and the PS Vita, which were the former handheld consoles, which at the time I thought were pretty incredible for what they were. And, while the PlayStation Vita obviously got pretty dominated by the 3DS and I guess just the DS at the time, I do think that there is room for a competing console in the handheld space from Sony. Sony is so far ahead in the console game right now that I think there are a lot of people who are like, wow, I can play this like a console, I can play this on the go. Why not? Then talking about their other rumors, the PlayStation 6S, I think that's great. I have a Xbox Series S. I love it. When I'm playing console, I'm probably playing on the Series S. I have Game Pass on there, and it's small, relatively portable for a console. And, I never really felt the impulse to upgrade to a Series X. That was my initial plan. Obviously, like I got into the next gen consoles with the Series S, and I was like, I'll get an X someday. Then I got a PS5 instead, and I was like, you know what? I'm good here. So I think that can be a great way for some people to get in. I don't know. Some people are weird about the Series S. I think it's a great console, and I think it would be nice for PlayStation to get in on it. And then for people who are more, they care more about all the different frame rates and all of that. PS6, well, it's going to be expensive. I think they'll splurge to it. So a little bit of something for everyone if this comes to pass. And again, we don't know if it will. I think we're all hopeful that it will, but we truly have no idea. So let me know your thoughts. Would you purchase a PlayStation 6 portable if it should come out? Do you even believe that this is real at all? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments. And final story for today, Valve is apparently working on a new console. Here are the leaks, what we know about it, and what we think will come about with Valve making something called a Steam Frame. I want to talk a little bit about the rumors that Valve may be launching a new console. So, this is from techpowerup.com and the user Alex and Dark. Hopefully pronounced that correct. But this is posted Thursday, September 4th. And they say, Valve, Steam Frame could be Valve's next generation gaming console. Valve introduced the Steam Deck has been a massive success in the handheld gaming market. However, we have long anticipated the return of the legendary Steam Machine, which has its road paved by the ecosystem support around the Steam Deck. According to the United States Patent and Trademark Office submission, Valve has patented the, quote, Steam Frame, trademark that is reportedly, quote, intended to cover the categories of computer hardware, computer networking, hardware, computer peripherals, computer hardware, and computer software for reproduction, processing, and streaming of audio, video, data, text, and multimedia content, close quote. Additionally, another trademark filing also claims that Steam Frame is, quote, intended to cover the categories of computer game consoles for recreational game playing, video game consoles, video game accessories, namely controllers for video games, close quote. All the evidence points to Steam Frame being a standalone console designed to fulfill Valve's mission and execute the vision left behind by the Steam machine. That means that Steam Frame will arrive as a standalone console unit paired with a controller and boot straight into SteamOS with all optimizations configured just like the current Steam Deck. It would be interesting to see what hardware powers the Steam Frame, given that the portability is not a priority and that more adequate cooling would be available for a standalone console. Valve could target higher frame rates on much higher resolutions. For all we know, what we can do is speculate about the future, so we need to see some more concrete information about the project soon. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, yeah, of course, it's a new attempt at a Steam machine. Everybody knows what the Steam machine is. Then I looked at the Steam machine Wikipedia page and I saw that the Steam machine came out in 2015, so I'd imagine a lot of people don't actually know what the Steam machine was. So the Steam machine was Valve's initial attempt to have their own console, and this is from the Wikipedia page. The Steam machine is a discontinued series of small form factor gaming computers by Valve designed to operate SteamOS to provide a home gaming console-like experience. Several computer vendors were engaged with Valve to develop their own version of the Steam machine for retail, offering additional options atop Valve requirements such as dual booting options with Microsoft Windows and the ability to upgrade the computer. Consumers could digitally purchase games on their Steam machines through Valve's namesake Steam storefront. So this went from 2015 to 2018, and I think I never had one, but I think what I mostly remember is the weird ass controller with the dual like touch pads instead of analog sticks. But I think, it sold less than 500,000 units according to the Wikipedia page, and I think it was a interesting attempt to allow Valve to get games to consumers at perhaps a more affordable price. So it was $400 to $600 depending on the kind of machine that you bought. And I think that in retrospect, it probably was something that, while it didn't work, it did lead to the Steam Deck. And the Steam Deck, for my money, is probably the best console available right now, especially as somebody who does game a lot on PC. Now, primarily when I'm gaming on PC, I'm actually gaming on my Steam Deck. And it also has the dual touchpads, but along with analog sticks. Now, I don't know if that will be included on the new controller for the new Steam Frame, but I think that Steam's in a very interesting spot in the sense that they make so much money from the selling of games on their platform that they could potentially make a very powerful console in the Steam Frame and take a loss on it, similar to what we see happening with the Steam Deck itself, where if you compare it to similar handheld computers, the Steam Deck is pretty underpriced, very affordable for what it offers. And the reason that they can take a loss on the affordability of the Steam Deck itself is because they know they're going to make money back when people buy games. And I mean, I've bought a bunch of games since getting the Steam Deck. I mean, I bought a bunch of games before the Steam Deck also, don't get me wrong. But since buying the Steam Deck, I've also purchased quite a few games there, and games that I probably never would have played before. Vampire Survivors. I was never really interested in roguelike games, but it felt like a good handheld experience, and that became like my obsession for a month earlier this year. July, I just playing Vampire Survivors pretty much exclusively. So I'm very interested to see if Valve does go forward with the Steam Frame, as it's alleged that they will be doing, because I think now is the time where more people have gotten into PC gaming than perhaps were into PC gaming in 2015, and they still maybe are coming over from the console market and they want to play those console games, and console games are being ported to Steam. We've seen many PlayStation games and Xbox games come to Steam, so I think this actually could be successful provided the price is right. So, what do you think about the Valve Steam frame? What do you think about Valve attempting another console after the failure, realistically, of the Steam Machine, but the success, relatively, of the Steam Deck? Would love to hear from you. I personally think it's a great idea. I'm very interested to see how this goes. And yeah, just let me know your thoughts. So I hope you enjoyed this compilation video. If you did, probably not going to do a lot of videos like this, maybe when I don't have time to make a full-length video in the future, but you can check out our channel, Those Fake Nerds. For people who've been around on this channel for a while, you know that Those Fake Nerds used to be a show on this channel, but it has moved over to its own channel, Those Fake Nerds, and we have videos coming out very frequently. Each segment you saw on today's video was a full video on Those Fake Nerds channel. So I really would appreciate it if you checked that out. And, other than that, thank you so much for watching this episode. Back next week with either a game review or talking about a specific subject within gaming. Really appreciate you allowing me to experiment with these kind of videos, though, and I will see you in the next one.